Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another Instant Deck Tech. So, as you probably know by now, Tuesday is Type 2, or Standard Tuesday, and we actually have a really spicy Standard deck this week. I'm really excited. It's been kind of slim pickings for Standard recently, but we have a super awesome deck that I'm really excited to show off. This is Mardu Reanimator. Recently took Justin Guiley to a top 8 finish at a SCG Standard IQ, so big congrats to Justin on their finish with the deck. A quick reminder before we break it all down, if you enjoy this deck and you'll want to see it made into videos, take a minute, click the like button, the subscribe button, leave a comment, anything you can do to support your deck, because whichever deck is most popular gets a shot at being made into videos next week. So Mardu Reanimator is a cool hybrid deck. It's built around filling the graveyard, and this lets the deck do two different things. So the way the deck fills the graveyard is pretty well known. It's playing the full 4 Cathartic Reunions, discard a couple cards, draw 3, the full 4 Tormenting Voice, kind of the mini Cathartic Reunion, discard a card, draw 2. So these cards keep cycling through the deck, filling the graveyard. Lightning Axe is a removal spell that's also a discard outlet. Key to the City, it's really powerful. It's another way to keep kind of looting, drawing through the deck, can make a creature unblockable, which is somewhat relevant, and filling the graveyard. So the deck wants these cards early and often. You cast them, keep drawing new cards, keep filling your graveyard, and then the deck does two different things. First off, it has the Haunted Dead Prized Amalgam package, so you can just discard your Haunted Dead on turn 2 to a Cathartic Reunion, get it back on turn 3, get back some Prized Amalgams with it. This kind of floods the board, gives you these creatures that keep coming back from the graveyard, kind of clogs up the ground. The Spirit Token from Haunted Dead also can be a good chump blocker in the air for Avacyn's and so forth, and it's really hard to deal with these cards permanently, because if your opponent manages to kill them or they die in combat, you just discard more cards to Haunted Dead, get everything back once again, and Haunted Dead is another discard outlet that you can use from the graveyard. However, this deck takes a pretty interesting twist for the second half of the deck, where it plays Combustible Gearhulk, Noxious Gearhulk, and Sky Sovereign Council Flagship. So, looking at these cards, you're probably like, they're a little expensive for the typical Prized Amalgam deck. 6 mana for the Gearhulks, 5 mana for Sky Sovereign. But these cards are very powerful. Combustible Gearhulk either draws you some cards or deals damage to the opponent. As you can see, we have a lot of expensive cards in the deck. That's 7 Gearhulks in total, a Sky Sovereign. So Combustible Gearhulk can actually deal quite a bit of damage if the opponent chooses to mill, and milling is putting more Prized Amalgams and reanimation targets in the graveyard. Noxious Gearhulk kills something and gains you some life. Sky Sovereign, a huge flyer, you can crew it up with Prized Amalgams, kill something, hopefully when it enters the battlefield, good at taking down Planeswalkers. So the deck gets really spicy, so as you're going through and milling these cards, drawing and discarding, stocking your graveyard with Prized Amalgams, you're also getting Gearhulks and Sky Sovereigns in the graveyard, and then you just get them back for a really cheap price. So Refurbish is a really exciting card for Standard, because in recent years, Reanimation has almost always started at 5 mana, like Rise from the Grave, like Ever After at 6 mana, but Refurbish is only 4 mana. The downside is it can only return an artifact, so you can't get any creature. It's kind of more restricted, but both of the Gearhulks and the Sky Sovereign are all artifacts, so this is 4 mana, get a Gearhulk or a Sky Sovereign back from your deck, and in theory, this deck should be able to pretty consistently do that on turn 4. Discard to Cathartic Reunion on turn 2, do it again if you need to, or use Haunted Dead on turn 3. On turn 4, Refurbish, get back at turn 4 Gearhulk, kill one of your opponent's things, or draw some cards with Combustible Gearhulk. So you take over the game really quickly by reanimating a huge threat on turn 4, and then, as the game goes along, you have Rise from the Grave and Ever After as kind of backup reanimation spells. So you got 6 in total. Then the deck also plays a couple of Nahiris, which is another double duty card. It can fill the graveyard with the +2 reverse loot mode, also can kill something, but you can also ultimate it and get a Gearhulk, get a Sky Sovereign, kill some of your opponent's stuff, bounce it back to your hand, and by that time you can probably just recast it. A lot of value if you're double using a Gearhulk. And then Fiery Temper is just a removal spell that works well with all the discard outlets. As far as the mana base, get a bunch of dual lands, evolving wilds, some basic lands, a single Drownyard Temple, which works good with the discard plan. You discard it to a Cathartic Reunion, get it back as kind of pseudo ramp. In the sideboard, this is where all the removal is. As you probably noticed in the main deck, not much removal going on there. A couple Fiery Tempers, a couple Lightning Axes, but the sideboard makes up for it with 3 Radiant Flames, 3 Unlicensed Disintegration, 2 Grasp of Darkness, so you can bring in some really powerful removal. Fragmentize hits Aetherworks Marvel, Smuggler's Copter, all those efficient artifacts that are really popular. Harsh Scrutiny for some discard, Insolent Neonates, another interesting discard outlet, and then Rise from the Grave. So that is Mardu Reanimator for Kaladesh Standard, and that's been our Instant Deck Tech for today. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you soon.